The second anniversary of Mario's arrival here at the sanctuary is swiftly approaching, and as I was planning how to celebrate, I realised that I've never properly shared his story here on YouTube, so I decided that this seemed as good a time as any to do just that. Unfortunately, we don't really know anything about the first decade or so of Mario's life. We know that he was most likely born sometime in 2012, meaning he'll probably be turning 13 this year, but that's about it. What we do know is that at some point, Mario and Luigi, another Shetland pony who was presumed to be his brother, ended up in the hands of a man known to purchase horses, and especially small ponies, to sell on for slaughter. I don't know if this slaughter was for the production of animal food, or if they were intended to be exported to mainland Europe for human consumption, which is actually far more common than a lot of people realise. But either way, these two were lucky enough to end up being rescued by a riding school. When Mario and Luigi first arrived at the school, they were nothing but skin and bones, and they were absolutely terrified of people. It was clear that they'd been severely neglected and abused in their previous home. But with time and love, they soon began to recover, both physically and mentally. However, as time passed, it became more and more clear that Mario just wasn't cut out for life as a riding school pony. Despite how far he'd come since he was first rescued, he would still sometimes become overwhelmed and anxious when surrounded by groups of children, and he wasn't quite reliable enough to be regularly ridden by little kids. Luigi was flourishing in his new role, but for Mario it was a very different story, and he needed to find a new home. One where he could be a non-ridden companion, and where his new humans would be able to dedicate the time he needed to continue healing from his past, and that's where we stepped in. In January 2023, we had to say goodbye to our beautiful rescue pony Jack. He had chronic health problems stemming from the neglect he suffered in his past, and despite both us and our incredible vets doing everything in our power to help him, Jack was ultimately not able to overcome his illness and had to be put to sleep. We were all absolutely heartbroken, but we knew that the best way to honour Jack's life was to take in another rescue horse or pony, and it just so happened that this was the same time that Mario was seeking a new home. And as if it was meant to be, it turned out that everything we had to offer lined up perfectly with everything that Mario needed. And so, in February 2023, Mario became the latest resident of the Little Rescue Zoo, and he's been here ever since. Mario's come a long way in the almost 2 years since he came to us. The riding school had very limited turnout, so for the 18 months Mario had lived there, he'd mostly been kept stabled. With us though, he gets to live outside all of the time, unless the weather is particularly bad, and he loves it. When Mario first arrived though, it was impossible to catch him. If anyone went near him, he'd take off galloping to the far end of the field, and trying to get a head collar on him could take up to an hour of patient bribery. It was mostly because of his anxiety. He was in a new place, surrounded by people he didn't know, and his past mistreatment had left him understandably afraid. But it was also partly because he wasn't used to having so much freedom. He seemed to be worried that if he was going to be taken into the barn, then he'd never be allowed out again. And even when we finally got him in to groom him, it still wasn't easy. He was far too anxious to stand still, and he wouldn't let anyone touch his head or legs, and certainly wouldn't let us pick out his hooves. Gaining Mario's trust was a long and arduous process, but it was so incredibly worth it. These days, he'll go up to just about anyone and can walk himself into the stable without the need for a lead rope. And he has no qualms about having his head touched or about having his legs groomed and picked up. In the time that he's been with us, Mario has come so far, and we're all so incredibly proud of him. He's the most amazing little pony, and it's an honour to be able to share our lives with him. When Mario first arrived, he was very itchy, constantly scratching himself, sometimes so desperately that he would tear through his skin. We quickly realised he had lice, which isn't all that uncommon in native ponies over the winter because of their thick coats. But even after we treated his lice, he was clearly still irritated. And he was soon diagnosed with sweet itch, which is an allergy to the saliva of blood-sucking midges. There's no cure for sweet itch, but it is relatively easy to manage. Most noticeably, Mario has to wear fly rugs all summer long to protect him from being bitten. And while these are very important for his well-being, they also have the benefit of being absolutely adorable. I mean, look at this little boy wearing his pyjamas. Mario isn't a riding pony and hasn't been since he came to us, but he still keeps himself busy. He enjoys walks around the local village, although he's sometimes still a little nervous around people and dogs he doesn't know. But despite that, he's amassed quite the local fan club. From toddlers to adults, plenty of people walk down the country lane past Mario's fence, and a lot of people have fallen in love with him. So much so that some of his regulars take the time to stop and talk to him or offer him carrots, and he absolutely adores them for it. It's actually helped him to overcome his fear of strangers, and it's so lovely to see the joy he brings to people, especially his little gang of adoring toddlers. But that's not all. Like all Shetland ponies, Mario is highly intelligent, and since coming to us, he's put that brain power to use in learning tricks. He can now fetch a toy, play football, and he's even learning to paint. Mario still has a naughty side though, because what Shetland doesn't? But honestly, his more mischievous moments just make him all the more lovable to us. Shetland ponies are a long-lived breed, and Mario could potentially live for another 20 years. And for the rest of his life, however long that may be, he'll be a beloved member of our family, knowing nothing but love and safety. Despite his rough beginnings, Mario is now truly living his best life, and I can't wait to share more of his antics with you, as well as his ever-growing repertoire of party tricks. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you'd like to support our sanctuary and the work we do rescuing animals like Mario, then liking the video, leaving a kind comment, and subscribing to our channel are all really good ways to do that. They're all quick, easy, and completely free. Your support really does mean the world to us, and it's what enables us to keep doing what we do. So to everyone who takes the time to do so, thank you.